Hello, everybody, and happy Friday. My name is Nick Larson. Welcome to the show. Today is August 30th, 2019. It's about 12:04 in the afternoon, so we're getting started just a little bit late. But let's get to it. So, all right, we are still working on the JS13K games competition. Oh, just one second. Okay. Um, Yesterday we started working on this idea of the game flow. So we finished up a couple of things, like we finished up how to drag and drop. Actually, let's just take a look at it. I'm gonna come back to it. All right, so we finished up the drag and drop. We also made it so that you can right click and you can look at these things. And then we also started writing down. All right, so basically what we did was flesh out this whole thing, and then we made it so that you can. We took a look at the actual game flow, right? Planning out the. What's the right way to say this? Planning out like the steps of the game, the flow of the game. Um, 1 second. Okay. Um, so we planned out the flow of the game, like what happens when you land, like when you come to the page for the first time, then what happens, when you're playing the game and whatnot. Um, and then like how do you end up, getting to a win or a loss. And we decided, all right, the goal for this week is basically to get that flow in place. Okay. And then once you have the flow in place, then we have 2 more weeks to go, assuming we get it done by the end of this weekend. If we have the flow in place, by whatever means, to actually like get from the start of the game to the end of the game to starting a new game, then we have 1 week to work on the actual battling part of it and to like flesh that out and make it as interesting as possible. And then we have 1 week to like doll it up, basically, to make it, put all the effects in, the sounds in, the animations in, the whatever else is going to happen that's going to be in there. And that's what we'll save for the last week right before we submit it. But it will be a playable game no matter what by the time we get to that point, because by the end of next week, the auto battling stuff will be in place and the whole like flow of the game will be there, from I land on the page for the first time to it shows me some information to we play around to it shows me the winner and then tells me, click this button to play again. So there's that. And what I did last night was sort of two things. The way that the interactions work was really, really kind of bland. I don't know, like bland's maybe not the right word. It was really kind of for every kind of interaction, I was adding a new list that we had to track and keep track of, and that sort of felt like it was going to be unmaintainable in the long run. So instead, what I decided to do was to rewrite how the event system works so that elements like game objects themselves handle the events. Okay. And then the triggering of the events happens entirely from, goodness me if I can find it. All right, so the concept is we have this thing called fire mouse event, and then anytime a mouse event happens, because the mouse is the only way to interact with this game, then it basically just fires off the event, right? And although mouse down is like, the sort of right way to say it. Although mouse down is an interesting thing, there are actually two keys that we care about, right and left. for non-mobile at least. You know, we really got to read the rules on that too. But anyway, so for basically it just fires off an event that is specific to whatever the thing is that's happening. On mouse move, it just fires off a mouse move. On click, on mouse down, it fires off mouse down, left or right. And then on mouse up, we also need to fire off the various, you know, mouse up handlers. The one thing that sort of got me caught up was how to handle drag consistently. I feel like I need to have like just a system that handles the whole dragging part of it, and it needs to be part of like the mouse object itself, so that when you click, it then says, okay, go get me the next thing that's underneath me, and like start dragging that if there's something that's draggable under it. I'm not really entirely sure, so I just sort of left that one in place for now. But the general concept is it just gets the X and Y of where you clicked, and then it says go look at the entire tree of game objects and get me everything that is overlapped at this location. Add it to this list, and then we're going to pop them off in reverse order and just handle them on the way out. And the reason we handle them in reverse order is in case there just happens to be two things in the same place that are draggable, we need to find some way to just drag the first one. So I have this to do in here. And this is what I said, I was just getting caught up on the whole dragging thing. So I just sort of left it how it was for now, and everything else we're going to use this system whenever we want to fire off an event. And it's a super generic system as well. There's no like telling it what kind of events there are, so you can create custom events, no problem. You just literally say add a handler, and it goes and says, okay, get me the handlers or create the handlers, and then push on whatever the handler is. And then whenever you trigger an event, you're basically saying handle, and you just pass it the name of the event and whatever data you want to pass to it. And so that's it. That's as simple as it is. And I probably want to put this as like H, you know, for handler. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's what I got done, and then I started doing the flow. And the first thing on the flow is the game start. You land on the screen. You're shown some really basic instructions, like right-click to, for example, right-click to see minion info, etc. Then you click the start game to start. I didn't get to this part yet, but what I did was make it so that it switches you over to the game view. I should add that. Switch to game view. Set the human player. Initiate minion selection. Okay. Minion selection. You are shown a character select screen with two random characters. Select one by clicking it. If the reserve is full, add it to the board. If the board is also full, click any character to swap with. Alright. This whole idea about how to swap them and whatnot, I'm not entirely sure how to handle that. If we take a look at the actual running board, I think ideally what I want to do is like cover this entire side with this game object, and then put the minions in here, and then basically just have it be so that you can drag it to any one of your available locations, any one of your allowed locations, and then that's that. The only thing is there won't be swapping per se. I really want it to be so you just click on it, because then I can just show it up right in the middle, have it be click on, you click on it, and then yeah, you would click on it, and then it would just sort of add it. But the problem is at some point you have to remove it. So I'm not sure what this interface looks like for adding and removing. Maybe what I do is I show a giant... What if I just create a whole new scene, and it has all of the opponent's minions at the top, all of your opponents at the bottom, or all of your minions at the bottom, and then the two minions that you get to select from inside of here, and then you can drag it to one of yours. Yeah, I'm actually kind of okay with that. Or there's a pass button. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Right, just a whole new scene where you get to see all of the opponent's stuff, you get to see all of your stuff. Because I just don't know of a good way to do it. Maybe the minion select screen is a good idea. And then the minion select screen, each one of these things just sort of maps to a location in the real scene. I think I'm actually okay with that. Yeah, I think I'm okay with that. Show characters select screen with 2 random characters. 2 weighted random characters. Okay, select one by clicking it. Okay, let's just have something like drag minion to one of your spots. If the reserve is full, add to the board. We don't actually need that anymore because we're just going to drag it to one of our spots. Or press pass button. Repeat for opponent. Swap to game scene. Swap to minion selection scene. Okay. From there, initiate placement timer for 15 seconds. Players can move their characters around the board. At the end of the timer, all draggable is disabled. Initiate combat phase. Okay. In the combat phase, something magic happens to actually resolve combat. Combat automatically resolves. Damage dealt to hero, check the winner. Proceed to game end if one player is done. Set the lowest remaining health. Show minion selection scene. Okay. Okay. So we need a minion selection scene. Let's go create one. All right, so far what we have is, when we refresh it, we have the start game button. Hooray! Instead of it going to this, it needs to go to the minion selection screen. For the minion selection screen, we're basically going to have 7 up here at the top, and 7 down here at the bottom. 3 buttons and some instructions. Or maybe the opponents, some instructions, the 3 things with a pass in the middle, and these down here. Okay, I think that works. And then, yeah, I think that works. Okay, let's do that. Save this. Oh, we have a scene. This is the intro scene. And we have minion selection scene. Scene equals game state dot minion selection equals new scene Gainsborough. All right, we need a player minion container, which we sort of have already with the reserve. We just need it to have 7 instead of 3. And we need the pass button, and we need the what else do we need in here? The random, okay, the options, placeholders. Okay, and then probably some instructions as well. The player minion container, let's try to reuse as much of this as possible. So we have a player reserve. Is that? Nope, that's the player render. We have a player reserve. I kind of want it to be like the player reserve. So to show you what the player reserve is, it's this thing up here. I sort of want it to be the same as that, only I want it to have all 7, and I somehow need to link the slots back to where they came from. Which is interesting. Okay, I can do that via the parents. All right, we can do this. So this just also needs to take in size, not size, minion count. And we need minion count. Okay, that's the slot size. The location. Render. Player reserve render. Also needs to have a size. Color identifier. Okay, let's put this down here, and instead of passing in the color identifier directly, let's just pass in this. And then we have access to everything, including the owner. This dot minion count equals minion count. The minion count, okay, this is what we need. Player reserve render. This is player reserve equals player reserve dot player dot color identifier. This dot minion count equals player reserve dot minion count. And then what are we doing? Oh, please tell me I didn't like hard code it. If the player reserve, okay, I'm guessing that the player reserve size was set down at the bottom, which sort of makes sense. And it was. Great. Maybe on this one. Crap. I'm just in a rough spot here. Okay, so you know what? It doesn't matter. It just doesn't. We're just going to set the size outside of it, and it's going to be fine. So the problem here is that I set the size at the time that I like build the thing, and then like the fact that they all fit in there correctly is just because I did some math based on the size that I had pre-specified, but that size was not dependent on a minion count. It was dependent on the number 3, which is bad. So size dot width plus player reserve padding. All right, so these are all going to get set correctly. The only thing I need to worry about Actually, I don't think I need to worry about any of this. I think this whole minion count thing is not super useful. In fact, let's just undo this. I think I can just... Okay. I think I can just do it like this and just set it to 7. Hey, Codephobia. Oh yeah, a TLDR, sure. Also, and welcome to the stream. Okay, so this is the JS13K games competition. JS13K games. They hold this once a year, and the whole concept of this is you have to make an entire game from scratch that runs in a browser in a disconnected fashion, meaning you have to load the whole thing up. You can't make requests back to a server or anything like that. And the entire package that gets downloaded has to be 13K or less. So just 13 kilobytes. There are some really amazing entries every year. They've been doing it for a while. If you like scroll over, they've been wait, no, I'm gonna have to shrink it. Yeah, they've been doing it since 2012. And the way that it works is at the beginning of the competition, the day it starts, they announce the theme. You have to build a game based on that theme. The theme for this year is the word back. You're allowed to interpret that in any way you see fit. So you don't have to use, whatever definition they give you. The word back is, lots and lots of different things. The back of your person, the walk backwards. You can interpret it literally any way you want to interpret it. And so the concept that first popped into my head was, what about back propagation, right? Which is the way that a neural network is trained, most neural networks. And so I had this concept where I was like, all right, let's build this game where you have to train a neural network, and then the neural network plays the game, right? And that's the whole thing. Like, you just go out and collect data and you show it examples, and it gets better at playing the game through this process of back propagation. And then I was like, all right, I started off with the idea of like, what if we actually trained a neural network? Wouldn't that be cool? How fun would that be? And then I was like, no, it's going to take forever, because you need like shitloads of data to train even like really, really simple ones for solving stupid problems, right? So the puzzle game idea that was like flowing through my head was kind of out the window there. And then the other thing that was going through my head is I've been playing a lot of Teamfight Tactics. So I decided I want to make something sort of like Teamfight Tactics, and then all of the abilities will just relate to the word back, right? Like backstab, backtrack, and we already have back propagation as like the main theme that I want to go with here. So I was like, all right, instead of being like a player, you're a brain, and then your brain controls your units, right? That's the concept of like an auto battler. So I'll have it so that you train up this brain, and then it's like an auto battling thing. And then as I got more and more into the actual like planning for it, it just turned more and more into Teamfight Tactics, but a really chopped down version of it that's a one-player game. So you play against a computer. All right. We spent the entire first week coming up with... Oh, well, I fucking broke it, but that's okay. I'll just come back to this in a second. I think we can do it like this, actually. This minion count equals minion count or 3. I think that'll fix it. Yep, there we go. Okay. Where am I? Okay, so we spent the entire first week. We went through and we made... we made this giant spreadsheet of like writing down all of the ideas, and then I was like, okay, let's come up with the actual, units, the minions and all of their abilities and everything like that. So we spent the entire first week saying, all right, each unit, each like minion that you have in this game is two things. It's a class and a specialization, and then there can never be two things that are the same class and same specialization, and we cover all the classes and specializations. Then there's also a rarity. So there are common units that'll show up a lot more often in the like random selection. Then there are rare units which will show up less often, and then there are epic units which will, ideally only show up once or twice a game. So you wouldn't be able to get all four of them. There are 4 epic units, 6 rare units, and the rest are common. There's 24 total units, so I think it ends up being like 14 or 16 commons. And then to like come up with the stats, I didn't want to manually go through all 24. So I set some base stats, and then I said, all right, if you are this class, then these are your multipliers. If you're this class, these are your multipliers. And the same thing for specializations. Although the specializations, the intent was for them to be more impactful. So like, 1.5 would be the biggest number that shows up anywhere. But then even still, in some cases, we ended up with like a 1675 and stuff like this. And it's like, I want to go and change these so that these things are way more impactful than these things. But at some point, I just was like, too much effort putting into all of this. And I hadn't actually started any coding at that point. So I was like, screw it. I just want to get rolling. We came up with all the names and all the special abilities that they have, and then we also said if you're rare, common, or epic, you also get an additional boost. So we'll see, like in here it comes and it looks at whichever one you are, you're common, so it gives you a multiplier of 1 if you're rare. Before I actually screw that up, if you're rare, then it comes and it gives you a multiplier of 1.2 to all your stats, and what you end up with is a bunch of really unique characters. So great. We had the characters, we had the names, we had the abilities. Time to start coding, right? And then we got into coding, and I basically just sort of laid it out. This is your player. This is your health bar that's going to be damaged every time you lose. The game is over when one of the player's health bars gets to 0. Only one person can lose health during any round. The minions, I just threw some random ones in here so that we could actually see them, are like you sort of just drag and drop them and put them on the board where you want them to end up fighting, and if you want to see their stats, you just right click them. Yesterday what we came up with was the game flow. So the game flow is sort of like you all of the different interactions, all of the different places that you can get to in this game. Turns out it's not really that many, which is great because, there's a time limit on all of this. We only have today and then the next 2 weeks to get the whole thing done. So ideally, by the end of this weekend, probably not during my stream today, but by the end of this weekend, I would like to have this whole flow in place, with the exception that this combat phase that is automatically resolved is just going to be super simple. Almost certainly just like flipping a coin to begin with here. So something like completely dumb and stupid. Maybe it's a weighted coin for now based on, total attack and total defense or something like that. I don't know. But the point is just that, like, I'm not going to worry about this yet. I want the flow of the game all the way up through the end completely done. Once the flow is done, then the last thing is basically going to be to implement the auto battling for real, which I have devoted all of next week's streams to, and hopefully in 3 days we can get it done to some degree that I am just comfortable with as it being something I'm willing and happy to submit to this competition. And then we're going to spend the entire last week. It ends on, I think, the 13th. Let's see here. Yeah, it ends on the 13th. 2 Fridays from now, 2 weeks from now. And if I can, I'm going to spend that entire last week working on basically like prettying it up, putting animations in there, getting some sound effects, not having everything be square boxes, like buttons will actually look like buttons and stuff like that. So like right now when you look at this, it's like it's a green box and there's no indication whatsoever that you can even click on it other than the fact that it says start game. I want it to look more like a button, maybe turn into, like a clicker whenever you hover over it, stuff like that. This sort of thing, I want to clean up the display of this and like align things so they're all nice and pretty. Make it so that when you hover over the little icons, they sort of tell you what they are and what they do, because there's just not enough room in here. maybe make it so that when you drag and drop, it like highlights the cell that you have it over currently, so you know where it's going to end up dropping. Those sorts of things. You know, just the stuff that like makes it more interesting than, oh, I just sort of clicked and dragged this thing and like that was that. It's like, yes, the gameplay is there, but I feel like those little bitty things like that can add a lot to the experience of it. So I'm hoping to do that at the end. But yeah, that's pretty much the whole thing. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm working on the flow. I built that game scene out already. This is the intro. When you go from here, it should not take you to the game. Instead, it should take you to the minion selection scene. So that's what I'm building out right now, the minion selection scene. Conceptually, it should look like... Zoom in. It should basically look something like... Here... Oh, that's not what I wanted. I want this one. And then I want... that one. That's good. Z, Z, Z. Alright, so it should basically look like here. Let's do a full. And then let's do a color of, yeah, lavender. And then let's do another color where it's blue. And then it should look something like, I don't know. Let's go with a brush style of 1. You know, oops. And this one should be outlined. Put in a little thing here. Nope. Not what I wanted you to do at all. Two. 3, 4, 5. Yeah, the one part that I forgot to mention is that these minions can only be controlled by one side of the brain or the other, the left or the right. And so you can only have 2 units for each side of the brain, which forces you to sort of put interesting combinations of units together. But I'm not entirely sure that I'm going to enforce that in the game because right now you will get bonuses only for having 2 of any specialization or 2 of any type. So if you had 4 of the same type, you'd get no bonus. You'd get 1 bonus, whereas you could get as many as 4 bonuses if you spread them out. And I feel like there's no reason to have the left and right brain thing. It was more of just wishful thinking. Okay, let's paste this. Drop this. All right, so this is sort of what I have the idea of. What else do we want to do here? We want to put some boxes. Oops. Nope. Ah. Okay, there we go. 1, 2, 3. Maybe move them more to the center. Let's say something like pass. And then here is some, okay. Click and drag your selection to your bench or something. Click and drag your selection to your bench. If you drag it to where something already is, then that thing will be returned to the pool. I don't know, something like that. Whatever the instructions are, this is sort of just the concept of what this screen is going to look like. And let's go ahead and save that. Merge, save. 13K. We're going to call this minion selection screen idea. And that's that. So this right here at the top will be a player reserve that has 7. This will be a player reserve that has not 7. They will have a reference to the player that they came from, so I can grab all of the minions directly. When I grab them, I can also get their parent, which tells me where they came from, so I can put them back in the correct place when I send them back to the other scene. Then I just need a way to populate this. To populate this, put the pass button in there, which should not be hard because I made a button thing last night, a button object, and then just put these instructions on there. That's about it. Okay. I just made that seem a lot easier. Actually, kind of glad that you asked me to explain all of that because I feel like that helped me a lot. Okay. So I need to set the human player. Whoops. Stupidest feature in all of text editing. Okay, set the human player. I wish I could disable that. Drag and drop text. I've never in my life wanted to go, oh, this should go here. I've just never wanted to do that. Let's go back to the game. I have this player reserve. I want to set it equal to, all right, so in my player reserve, where is my player? Control F. Player extends. There we go. I have a player reserve and I want to pass it a size of 3. And then I want to have something called I think that's actually good for now. I'm going to go ahead and say that's good. I could just have it in both places, but then I have like this maintenance issue that, well, actually player reserve has an add and a remove, doesn't it? It has an add minion. Oh, it needs a remove minion. And then I could just say player.add minion. I have a player.add minion. It tries to find a player reserve. So I'm considering I think I'm going to have to write a function to make this scene. I think that's what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to write a function to make this scene and then make one each time instead of just having them be like this. So let's have a function make minion selection scene. And then in here, I basically want to say let P1 inventory equals new player reserve game state player 1 and 7. And then I want to say scene.add component P1 inventory. And then I want to say P1 inventory P1 inventory dot location equals I don't even know. How about the size? Let's just do size equals width. 50 times 7 is 350 plus 8 times 20. 350, 450, 450, 530. And then the height is, I don't know, 50, whatever I said it was. Something like that. $170. I'm not sure. Whatever. It's gonna look like it looks, and then we're gonna see it. Let's do this same idea about a game. Start new episode is not going to be show the game scene. It's going to be let minion selection scene equals make minion selection scene minion selection scene. And then I think I need to do something like first choice game state player 1. And then I want to say game state dot minion selection turned equals first choice, something like this. Minion selection scene. All right, so we have this. Then what we need to do is say for let I equals 0, I less than I less than player one dot minions dot length I plus plus. Oh shit on me. Then I want p1 inventory dot add component. Dot add minion. Player one dot minions. Okay. Let minion equals player one dot minions I. And then I want to say minion dot last parent equals minion dot parent. Okay. P1 inventory dot add minion player one dot no, just minion. So that will add it to the inventory for all of them. Sure. And then I need a pass button. Let pass button. $100 by 100. White, green. Let's do red. And let's do gray. And this needs to be chords of game state dot set scene game state dot game scene. Okay. Scene dot add component. Something like this. Return scene. Okay. Let's just see if this will come up. So the idea is that we should have two things. The first one should be the menu. Okay. So somewhere in here where we like end. Okay. Let's show game scene. But end selection. End minion selection equals function. Don't actually care. And this needs to be in here. I want end minion selection. And then I want to say player1.minions.length I++. Let minion equals player1.minions. Minion.lastParent dot add component minion. Like that. Okay, kind of a lot going on here. Not sure if this is going to work. Let's see if we get our error messages. Oh, player 1 is not defined. Let P1 equals GameState.player1. P1, P1, P1. Same thing here. Let P1 equals GameState.player1. P1, P1. P is not defined. Okay. Oh, all right. All right. What happens if we press this? We did make it there. Okay. Let's refresh this. We didn't quite get the size right. Let's go ahead and move it. Must have the padding wrong. 6. Player reserve. Padding. Player reserve padding is 20. Well, who knows? I don't know. Screw it. If 7 times 50 is 350. Oh, okay. 350 plus 8 times 20 is 160. Alright, 510. Let's try 510. It still doesn't seem right. Size. Yeah, it's definitely not right. Whatever. Okay, let's just move it. Let's put it like... Okay. Let's center equals scene.size.width divided by 2. Okay. So now what we want to do is say p1 dot p1 inventory dot location dot x dot location equals x is center x minus 510 divided by 2 minus 550 divided by 2. Y is going to be, I don't know, it's 600 tall. Let's put it at like 380. And let's just take a look. That's not too bad. Probably want to push it down a little bit more and figure out why my math is wrong with this. This box says 50 wide. $50, 100, 200, 350. Oh, it doesn't need those. Oh, it's so minus 40. That's right. These are added in automatically on the left and right, top and bottom. So we only need these 6 in the middle. So that's 120 plus 350. 120 plus 350. 120 plus 350 is 470. 470, so 510. That will center it. And then we have this 380. Probably want, I don't know, 420. Yes. Yes, that is what I want. Okay, great. Now that I have the center, I can now center this button. I think I should put this button like over here. Yeah, let's do that. And then just put the 2 options in here and put the opponent stuff up here. And this makes it so you can still see all of this. I don't want these to be draggable in this mode. So I need to prevent dragging of these. Okay. Okay, I just gotta prevent dragging. We'll figure that out. Okay, and then this takes you to the game screen. All right, I feel good about this so far. how are we going to do that? First off, we're going to make it less tall. We're going to make it 50 tall. And we're going to have it be pink, I suppose. Like, you don't want to do that. Coral. Let's move it. We want it to be sort of at the same height as this one. 420 plus 20 is 440. And we want it to be almost to the right of the screen. We want it to be at like 900. Ooh, not 9,000. Oh, that's too much. Oh, we do want it to be at the same height, 420. I think the 900 was actually pretty good. Where'd you go? Okay. Feel good about this. Now let's put the other one up here for the other player. And then let's put 2 random boxes here in the middle. And some instructions that say instead of pass, let's say skip. Okay. Okay. Let's put the other container on there. The size is correct. The height is correct, but I think we want it at 120. Something like that. And then we want P2. 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 Oh, P2. P2. And add P2. Okay. P2, game state, player 2. Same concept. Player 2. Player 2. Okay. What else? That will do both of them. Yes, it will. Now we want to put the 2 minions in here, and we want to spread them out kind of far. All right, I can't touch the opponents, which is great. can't drag and drop them. Oh, that's interesting. These aren't letting me drop. Why would it let me drag these and not drop them? And not give me an error? I don't know. Just one of those things. Alright, it does add it back to here. Alright, now we want the selections. Minion, I think we have an owner, right? Okay, so owner. Okay. We want these placeholders. I'm actually really confused why it didn't let you drop it on this player reserve to like reorder them. Drop. Oh, because right now it's the old way of doing things. Get droppable object. Frustrating. Okay. That is incentive. That is a lot of incentive to trash this. Handle drop. Should call these game parent. Okay. I guess this player reserve I can prevent you from being able to drag them. That's interesting. So I think I can get you to only be able to interact with it by creating I think I can get you to do it by setting the owner of the player reserve at any time, and that will make it so you can only drag and drop. Well, let's just try that. Let's go screen. Let's do scene dot size dot height divided by 2, and this needs to be minus 50. And this is going to be 120. Because there's only 2 of them. Let P selection, oops, equal first choice. Second choice. Minion selection next equals second choice. And then here I think I can just do first choice. And I can say P selection inventory equals player reserve of 2 P selection I could say P selection but I don't want it to be like this. I want to randomly select unselected minions. Okay. So I want to say let options minion options equals get minion options. And then I want to say minion options to minion options minion.lastParent equals null P selection inventory.add minion. If I add it through here, does it set it slot.setMinion player reserve slot? Yep, I actually need all of that. Okay, I need that. Because that's what's going to let you drag it. Yeah, all of this like interactable setting, like that crap needs to go away. Handle drop. Okay. So I need all of the setting it to the owner. My only concern, I guess, is it actually player reserve? It's not pushing it to the minions of the player. What does push it to the minions of the player? Add minion. Maybe this right here. Um, want to add it to the board. Starting to think we want to just put it in a new place, maybe. There's no remove minion either. Okay, if array remove of this dot minions minion, then I can say minion dot owner equals null. Okay, so we have a way to remove the minion, and then I also want to say something like minion dot parent dot remove component minion. So it just disappears completely. Yep. Okay. End minion selection. So I want to get 2 minion options. Okay. I'm a little nervous that this is going to... It's not going to add them to the player, but it is going to set the owner. We're just going to revisit that. Const get minion options equals function count let options equals let m equals an array, let total equals 0, let results equal array, return results for, I don't even think we want this here. Let I equals 0, I less than game state dot minions. I think game state dot minions dot length I plus plus. Okay, now we have I let m equals game state dot minions of I. Oops. Weights. Minion. Then we have total plus equals weighted. Okay, rarity weights. Rarity weights equals common 1. No. 10. Rare 3. Epic 1. And probably 4. So there are 24. There are 4 epics. There are 6 rares, so that's 24 and 4 is 28. And there are 14. So 188. There's 188. When a common disappears, is that right? 140 plus 24 is 168. 172. Okay, so 172, you have a 4 out of 172 chance. Actually, it's greater than that. Because you can't choose the same one twice. And once, like, 7 of these were gone, let's say once 8 of these are gone, you have 6 of these, so you would have 60. And 24 is 84, 88. It's still a 1 out of 10. Okay, I feel pretty good about this. Total equals rarity weights of minion.rarity. Then what we want to do say how am I going to do random weighted selection? You have the total, okay? All right, you have the total. Now you take a random number between 1 and that number. Or between 0 and that number. Okay. JavaScript random number. Math.random. Okay. Math.random times the max. Sure. Let value equal math.random times total. And then we want to do this. total equals 0. Minion equals minion. Equals game state dot minions of 0. We're going to have let I, no, let selection index equals 0. Selection index less than that. Selection index equals 1. Selection index if total is greater than value, break. Otherwise, add to the total. And then we can say selection for, okay, let results equals this, return results for let x equals 0, x less than count, x plus plus. Let selection equals game state dot minions selection index -1. Results dot push selection. I think that works. So basically we're saying for each time, sum up the total value, choose a random number between 0 and that value, set the total equal to the value of the first one, set the selection index equal to 1. If the total is greater than the value, then we have already found the one that we care about, which is the first one. Otherwise, we're going to keep doing this until possibly we get to the end when selection index is greater than, well, is equal to the length. So then we get the last one. Okay. All right, that's get minion options. Wow, that's hard. The last parent is going to be null. So then in this case, we need something like if minion.lastParent equals null, then p1.addMinion minion. Else do this. And now I'm convinced that this needs to not be specific, just needs to be player. Player player. And we need this to be a function. Return minions. Minions to game. Oh. This only works because I'm setting the minion. Alright. I am not sure. I think repurposing this stuff was kind of a bad idea. I'm trying to keep the code short, you know, because of the size limitation and all of that. But I'm starting to feel like it's not really working as intended. Like, the rendering was there, that was cool. The only problem is, like, I need the behavior to be different. When you drag and drop it into here, I need it to add it to the player immediately. Which means I need to give it I'm going to go ahead and say that there's going to be a last parent. I'm going to say that whatever happens before this is just going to happen. Return minions to game. Game state dot player 1. Return minions to game. Game state dot player 2. Okay, freaking whole lot changed here, but ideally there should be some options when this thing loads up. Minon. Minion. All right. I got one in there. I can't drag it. And I need to reset the size of this to be 50, 100, 120. And 140. Okay. There is some amount of progress here. Holy cow. Okay. Can I right click it? Oh, I can right click it. Look at that. I can right click it. Why does it keep choosing the same one? That's problematic. And why does it keep showing up second? console.log minion options. There are 2 minions in there. This one is the shark. Oh, it's choosing the shark twice. Oh, that's right. Okay. Is the shark at the end? That's another question. The shark is at the end. Oh, I did the same thing. I didn't do a plus equals. No, I did do a plus equals. If total is greater than value, console.log total plus value. Okay. And then I want oh, that's the problem. Total equals this dot, oh no, rarity, dot rarity. Rarity weights. Okay, that will select a different one. There is a pass here. If minion.owner not equals null, continue. And then I also need to say or results.contains.index of minion is greater than or equal to 0. There we go. Cannot access minion before initialization. Okay. Sure. Oh, what? It selected one that I already had. That's not cool. Okay, that time it was good. That time it was good. That time it was good. 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 Keep getting grays. I would expect to get a lot of grays. Okay, I'm reaching the point where I would expect to get something other than a gray. Camel? Nope. Okay, and you took my guy again, which is not really that cool. So I took three of the rares and one of the epics. So almost all of what's left weight wise is commons, so it makes sense that those aren't there. So I'm gonna go ahead and return all of them except the commons. Actually, I'm just gonna comment them out for now. And see how we're doing. Oh, there you go. See, and if you got that on the first try, I mean, you just win. We still have that problem where it's like, nope, those are commons. 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 Common. Okay, that was good because that was the one at the very end, which means we can select the one at the very end. Lots of commons here. Alright. Definitely bad. Oh, that's a problem. Crap all. So no matter what, okay, yeah, this is bad. So you can't set it to the first one. Okay. 0. Selection index equals 0. If the total is greater than the value, then we want this one. And I believe I can do this for -1. And then the only thing we need to do is make sure we get the shark at some point. The reason you want to do the -1. What is value? If value is less than or equal to total. I mean, technically it should be if the value is less than the total, then you want to break. And then just to be safe, selection index equals math.max selection index and game state dot minions dot length -1. To do check the math here. Okay. And very first try it screwed it up. How is it doing that? If the owner is not null, or it's in the results, then don't add the total. If it well, we do it like this. If minion.owner or results.index of oh, that's interesting. We keep selecting the same minion no matter what. It is correctly weird. Okay. It is correctly filtering from the total calculation. That's what we can see right here. And then our minions are saying let me see if I can do this. Okay, I'm looking at the rarities. There's 10, 20. Okay, it's choosing the snail every time. Oh, I did a max. I need to do a min. And get rid of that -1. Hey, all right. Okay, we can see that it is correctly it's choosing a common. And then in this case, let's go ahead and do the math. I really just want to see it choose a shark one time. So we need something where Oh, that got really close. All right, we need 158 or greater on the first one, or 148 or greater on the second one. Nope, getting close. Ooh, that was really close. Means it's, oh, there we go, we got the shark. Okay, perfect. So we can get the last one. Can we get the first one? What's the first one? The gorilla? We already know we got the gorilla. Okay. I feel pretty confident about all of the math there. That's our random weighted selection. Okay. Now we need to make it so that you can actually drag them. What prevents you from being able to drag it? You get the mouse cords, you get the interactable object, which we know is correct. And then we're getting the object. We're getting the object.owner. Minion.owner does equals this. And, start drag. Interesting. So basically here we want to say console.log object. And we can get rid of the other console.log. Why won't it let me drag it? I'm getting I just dazed off. Wow. Okay. What we're saying is we want to figure out why it's not dragging it. Oh, it's simple. It's not in draggable. That is so freaking frustrating. Actually, maybe this is kind of a good hack. Let's do GameState.GameDraggable. Okay, GameState.GameDraggable equals GameState.Draggable. Interactable. Game interactable. And then I want let selection interactable equals game state dot interactable equals an empty array. Oh no, I need all the minions. No, I don't. I only need the drag ones. Selection draggable. And then I want to say selection draggable dot push minion. And then I want to reverse this. For here. Game state dot okay. I wouldn't need to do that. No, come on, come on, come on. Okay. Debug. Just have to figure it out. When you go to drag, it starts the drag. Allegedly. Drag start. Let's move this back over here. Oh, look at that. It is not making its way into here. Okay, let's just take a look at these. We know that the object.owner I think that's what it's actually not doing. Owner. Null. Ooh. Let's see then. Okay. Okay. Like, do I just set the player? I feel like this was the point of doing this. Right, this add minion does not set the owner. Maybe it should. Slot.set minion. There is. Let's do this dot minion dot owner equals this dot owner. I'm not sure if that's going to break other stuff, but we can drag now, and we can't drop now. Can I swap them? No. Okay, well I can drag. Why can I not drop? Let's go ahead and add these back. Okay, we've got some things I can drag. I can view the important parts of. Okay, let's do this console thing. What is the drop condition? Object.handle drop. Oh, I didn't make these droppable? Is that what it is? Set droppable. Aha. Board grid. I think we probably... Alright, well this is going to end up being a memory leak. Unless we end up with just one of these. But I feel like setting it to droppable as part of it... Oh, I can't set them all to droppable. I have to only set the ones that are player to droppable. But I think I might actually handle that because droppable is owner.player one. Okay. So I think we're going to just set these droppable inside the object itself. Player reserve slot this. Yeah. I probably don't want this. I don't actually even think I'm using this. Remove minion. Board cell, remove minion. Ew. I have a player reserve slot. The original container. Remove minion. Alright, what I need is like a minion container. Okay. I think so. Game state dot set droppable is not a function. Okay, well that's all we do. We just initialize that crap up further up. Does this have anything to do with players? No, it doesn't. Hey, alright, we can move those. Great. I can't move these because I don't own them. Alright. I've gotten to that point. I don't want that to swap. Okay, so I need to change the way that, like, drop is handled on these. And I want to set these not droppable. Okay. Okay. All right, the things that still need to be done. All right, we have this page built with the exception of the instructions. It's clear that you can take on a new one. I need to update the behavior so that these are droppable. These are not draggable. Bat, rhino. Okay. So I need to get to the point where these are not droppable cells. These are not draggable icons. So you can drag from here and drop to any one. If you drop it on top of one, it will replace that one. That one would just disappear. And as soon as you do one thing, then it goes to your opponent's turn. So it would be like, all right, I choose this one. And then poof, as soon as you drop, it needs to go to your, it needs to add it to your list of minions, find a place for it, swap to the opponent. The opponent logic will be really simple. Choose a random one of these, weighted by the, I don't know, something. And then add it to an empty, or if there's an empty cell, it will add it to an empty cell. Otherwise, it will randomly choose one of its to get rid of. All right, once the advancement has happened, we go to this page. A timer starts. You drag and drop your thing onto the screen. It sort of makes its decision about what it's going to do. And then it sort of just does it. And then they attack. Whatever. And then some damage is dealt. Boof, boof. And then we go back to the minion selection screen. In the case that there's a winner, we're going to show another screen, which is the winning screen. And there will be a button on it to start a new game. Okay. Um, good lord. All right. So we have to rework this droppable thing. The drag and drop just has to be completely reworked. Just no two ways about it. Okay. That is going to be it for today. I would like to thank everybody for stopping by, everybody who stopped by. I really appreciate it. I feel like we're doing pretty good progress on this. Clearly did not get as far as we were hoping to today in terms of the amount of the flow that's done. I feel like I feel like we kind of have to get this drag and drop event system thing sorted out, and once we get that done, then the rest of it will be pretty straightforward. We're just going to keep grinding through it. I'm going to try and work on it this weekend, but it's a long weekend. I don't know if I'm going to have time. And then, if we have to get back to it on Tuesday, we'll get back to it on Tuesday. And if we miss out on some of the, effects and whatnot before we submit it, submitting something that, works with gameplay, I'll just be totally happy about. All right. Well, again, thanks everybody for joining. I will see you all next week, same time, same place. It's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday from noon until 2. And that's it for today. Y'all have a good one. Bye.